This is a 60-inch cinema screen and the boat is barely wider than my arms. This is the biggest thing I've ever tried to fit inside my narrowboat. One of the main problems I've got is my sloping walls. They slope in, which means the ceiling is narrower at the top, which means I can't get the screen level or straight at the end of the boat. So I'm going to have to drop the height of that. So why did I go for a big 60-inch cinema screen? I know I could get a 100-inch screen along the side of the boat that way. However, the projector can't be far enough away to make the 100 inches. So the maximum I could really do was the 60-inch screen. So where to put it? Again, if I put it across on the side, the projector won't be far enough away to make the 60 inches. So I've had to put it at the end of the boat, and as I said, the problem I've got is the ceiling is narrow at the top, so I've got to drop the height of that. I wanted it higher so that I could have the projector hanging from the ceiling, projecting onto there, being out of the way. That's not going to happen, unfortunately, and this is where I thought it would fail, because I've got the fire in the corner there, so I need to have it far enough away from that so if I have the fire on, it won't be a problem. So let me see if I can get this to fit. So I've got to drop the height of this. I wonder if that's enough. Not quite. Before we continue with the DIY 60-inch cinema screen install, I just want to give you an update on the curtains. As you can see, I've pulled them back today, and I've used the magnets to stick at the bottom so they still hang back a little bit. And here's the other one I installed as well. I have continued to make the curtains, I just haven't put them up just yet. And it also turns out that covering porthole cushions, in other words bungs, is extremely difficult. I did find that a tough one. As you can see, I've finished one and it does look good. I like that. This fails for 3 reasons: the width, the height, and the fact that nothing is square on a boat. The only way this works is if everything lines up perfectly, and boats don't do perfect. This is the only position left to try. If it doesn't work here, it doesn't work at all. As you can see, I've dropped the screen now to what would be eye level on the couch. I think it's a bit too low. Let's try and lift it up a bit. How does that look? I think that's nearly there. Well, that is as high as I can get the screen to go and still have it straight at the end. So you can see it's just touching the corners at the top there. I genuinely didn't think that that would fit. As you can see, I touch both walls. It's now straight at the end. Next job, set the projector up. The projector I chose was the best I could afford, a Valerian Vision Master Max. Hollywood standard in your home. And it definitely is. This is the projector itself. As you can see, it's cube shaped, and it really does give an incredible picture. I'll show you that in a moment. It will project up to a 300-inch screen at cinema quality standards, and after viewing it, it does. This is the back of the projector, and I do feel I need to say that no, I'm not sponsored by Valerian. It is just a projector that I bought, and this is the quality of the screen that it projects. And bear in mind, I've got all my curtains open. It is daylight and it still gives a fantastic picture, and at night time it is incredibly bright and crisp. Of course, I've got to show you my favourite channel, Red One Afloat. Feel free to watch any of the programs. One of the things I like best about this projector is you can stream just about anything. I've watched from sports through to cinema, through to YouTube, as you can see on the screen now. It is just a fantastic projector. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. And if you haven't watched last week's video, here's a sneak peek. Trying to hang curtains on sloped narrowboat walls? Yes, I had the same problem until I discovered this little trick. I hadn't touched a sewing machine in 45 years, but I found a way to sew, hang and magnetically lock my curtains in place. This completely changes the feeling of this space in my lounge, having a huge screen across the width of the boat. But I'm not going to take it down. I love it. In next week's video, you have more DIY to look forward to as I remove this stove, including the chimney, out onto the roof, and I'll be covering up that hole ready for the install of my new stove in about 2 weeks' time. I'm just making my way up the back steps to the stern of the boat, where I'm going to show you how I do my engine checks and start the engine to run it for a little while. I'm just going to roll up this curtain to give myself some more room so I can open the doors as well. I need to get into the engine bay, which is underneath this board here, and it can be a little tricky to lift this up and get it out of the way. So it is quite a tight fit. And I do need to lift that up to get it past. Being careful not to fall down the hole. Right, that's the cover removed. And then I just need to get down there, check the oil, check for any other issues I may have. As you can see, I'm now down in the engine bay. All I'm doing is checking for any water that might have come into the boat. It's absolutely dry. I just take out my oil dipstick using my trusty kitchen towel. Right, that's oil is perfect. Clean as well, which is a good thing. Now in most boats you've got what's called a greaser that greases the stern gland, which is where you see that red handle. That's basically where the prop shaft comes into the boat, or goes out of the boat I should say. I don't actually have a grease stern gland, mine's done with water. I'm just checking that the belts are in good condition as well, and that they're still nice and stiff. Yep. This is my water tank where the engine is cooled from. I can definitely see some water in there. I do have a header tank as well, which I'll show you in the next shot. This is my header tank, which is at good levels, so I'm happy with that. Right, after the engine checks, which I'm happy with, I'm going to be starting the engine. I'll show you how I do that, and I'm going to run it for 10 minutes or so just to get the oil turning over, get it hot again, just to make sure everything is kept in good condition over the winter. Right, these are all my keys for the boat. These lovely little things here, they're actually floats, so if you drop your keys in the water they float. Let's see if I guess right first time. There you go, I did. Let's put that to one side for now. And as this is a diesel engine, I need to preheat the coils, which will be this light as that comes on, for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then I'll be able to turn the key and start the engine. I will warn you though, it does go on for a little while and it is quite loud. Pardon me. Because I've got the board up, it is very, very loud. much quieter now. As you will have seen there, I also put the engine into gear so I could just make sure there were no problems with the propeller. It certainly churned up the water. So that's the engine been running for a while, and time to stop it. And I warn you again, it's going to be quite noisy, but it's much easier to stop it just by pushing this button here. There you go, that easy.